Grease the groove is a term that's been used for the past 20 years in the fitness industry. It's been popularized by Pavel Tsatsouline from one of his books, The Naked Warrior. I'm here to explain to you the details on Grease the Groove, how it works, and how you can get super strong without a program. Pavel says that in order to get stronger, you have to grease the groove many times throughout the day. So basically, practice your specific exercise many times every day throughout the day. According to Pavel, repetitive and reasonably intense stimulation strengthens the nerve impulse to the muscles involved, making them stronger and more enduring. The technical term is synaptic facilitation. Remember, specificity plus frequent practice equals success. When I first learned about Grease the Groove, I was reading the book The Naked Warrior. The concept of practicing something every day throughout the day basically went against your traditional way of training, that you do a set, maybe a set of 10, you push yourself to failure, and you do multiple sets like this. But it makes sense. In order to get good at something, whatever that is, you have to practice it frequently. But not just practice, perfect practice. I used the technique myself many years ago while I was incarcerated with pull-ups. And it worked like a charm for increasing my pull-up numbers. Basically, wherever I had the opportunity, I did some pull-ups or chin-ups. I would do pull-ups against my door in my cell, hanging from the bars in the entrance of my building. They even had a pull-up bar in front of the chow hall. So whenever they called breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I was able to knock off several sets of pull-ups. Even going to the gym or on the rec yard, wherever I'd go, I'd do pull-ups or chin-ups. I would keep the reps really low, between 1 to 5. Often doing ladders. For example, a set of 1, a set of 2, a set of 3, and then repeat. Some days I'd knock off hundreds of reps. And on some days I'd go as low as 10. So I practiced chin-ups or pull-ups every day. I stayed away from muscle failure. I stayed pretty fresh, and I was able to train and change the volume on a daily basis. So Grease the Groove is a method that you can get stronger on one exercise, maximum 2, on basically a non-program. I'd recommend choosing exercises that are accessible, like pull-ups, push-ups, pistol squats. I'd recommend choosing 1 or 2 exercises that complement each other, either a push, a pull, or an upper or lower body exercise. Choose something that's accessible to you. It could be calisthenics, or maybe you have a kettlebell lying around your house or at the office. Personally, I love using it for pull-ups. When you select your Grease the Groove exercise, make sure that you don't choose other exercises that will interfere with that. For example, if you choose chin-ups or pull-ups, make sure that you don't do a lot of one-arm rows. If you Grease the Groove with pistol squats, make sure that that would be the only squatting exercise that you would perform in your training. If you want to have success with Grease the Groove, here are the 5 F's of GTG. The first F stands for focus. Make sure you choose just 1 or 2 exercises for greasing the groove. In order to get good at something, you have to practice that thing specifically and only that. So focus on fewer things and you'll get stronger and better. The second F stands for flawless. Make sure you use flawless technique. Use full body tension in all your lifts and power breathing. Keep your reps for strength between 1 to 5. On occasion, you may perform higher reps and pyramid up to 10 reps. Number 3 is frequent. The more often you'll practice, the better and stronger you'll get. So you may practice and train Grease the Groove almost every day. The fourth F is fresh. You want to stay fresh and avoid fatigue during your GTG practice. So in order to do that, make sure you get plenty of rest and avoid training to failure. Generally, practice half of your maximum. So if 10 reps is your max, just do sets of 5. Alternatively, if 8 or 6 is your max, just do half of that. Take ample rest and go when you're ready. So the rest periods are really up to you. Sometimes it could be shorter rest, like 30 seconds, if the reps are really low and easy, or 2-3 minutes, or even longer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you're doing it throughout the day, you might have mini sessions throughout the day that'll be several hours apart. But just stay fresh and avoid fatigue. The last F is fluctuating. So you want to fluctuate the volume on a day-to-day basis. So day 1, you may start with 10 reps in total or number of lifts. Next day, you may go up to 30. And the day after, you may go down to 20. So vary the sets and the reps, make them fluctuate and wave on a daily basis. It should be a minimum of 20% change. Also add variety in your training. In order to avoid plateaus and to keep getting stronger at the same thing, you have to do the same but different exercises. So if you're choosing a pull-up, you may do chin-ups or vary the grips. If you're doing a one-arm push-up style, you may want to vary the difficulty of the push-up. Fluctuate the reps and the sets, the intensity, and vary the exercises. So to sum up, Grease the Groove, train up to 2 exercises and their variations. Use full body tension and power breathing. Train moderately hard and avoid fatigue and failure. Do half of your reps that you normally could if you went all out. And practice or train every chance you get. Let's go to the whiteboard and look over what a typical week would look like using just 2 exercises with Grease the Groove method. Alright, so here's an example of Grease the Groove and how I would program it. I typically have 4 movements in my training. I'll have a push, a pull, a squat, and a hinge. Only select up to 2 exercises maximum for Grease the Groove. That means that you'll focus on those 2, you'll be practicing them every day throughout the day, and possibly doing lots and lots of sets and reps, building up the volume over time. Stay on this program for at least 12 weeks, and that way you'll get the most out of it, maybe even longer. So I would choose the pull-up and the pistol. They're opposed exercises. So upper body pull and a lower body push. These are going to be my Grease the Groove lifts. The other lifts, one arm push-up and a deadlift. It could also be a military press with the kettlebell or kettlebell cleans, for example, or any type of hinge that you choose, kettlebell swings. I would program these in a more traditional way. So the one arm push-ups or the presses would be, for example, 3 to 5 reps, 3 to 5 sets for strength. And for the deadlifts, the same, 3 to 5 method. It could also be kettlebell swings, 10 sets of 10. So keep in mind that your Grease the Groove and your other lifts are going to be programmed separately. How you want to do that, that's your choice. The GTG exercises, you're going to be practicing them every day. The other ones, you would be doing them 2 or 3 days a week. After you've selected your GTG exercises, you can test them or basically guesstimate your max reps. So let's say for argument's sake that I test my chin-ups and my maximum is 10 reps. And I test my pistol squats and I get a 6 rep max. I would do generally half of those reps or less. Let's look at a week. So the blue would be the chin-ups and the red would be the pistols. Here's what my first day would look like. 2, 3, 5 for the chin-ups and 1, 2, 3 for the pistols. I could spread those out or do them within a little mini session. Day 2, I would double up on the volume. So I would do twice the same as I did on day 1. Day 3, I'm gonna triple the volume. So it goes up. And then on day 4, I would cut the total in half. So I would do 3 sets of 5 on day 4 for the chin-ups and 3 sets of 3 for the pistols. On day 5, I'd make it easy again and I'd build it back up. On day 6, I'd challenge myself with a little bit higher volume. For the chin-ups, I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a little mini pyramid, and then 15 sets of 2 for the pistols. So you can see that any way works. If you want to superset the exercises, train them separately, have different volumes for each, I suggest you keep track and wave the load. Make it different on a day-to-day basis. So if we look at the total amount of reps that you do for the pull-ups, this is what it looks like. On day 1, you would do a total of 10, then day 2, 20, day 3, 30, day 4, 15, day 5, 10, day 6, 30. The total amount is constantly undulating, waving up and down. Do this from week to week with a trend of increasing the volume. What would be the minimum amount of reps that you would do in a session? I'd say about 10. Over time, you can work yourself to literally up to 100 reps or more. However, when you reach a peak, make sure that you deload with a few easy sessions following the high volume day. Retest yourself with a rep max test about once a month. Leading up to a test, do a few easy sessions. If you're really feeling fatigued from all your training, make sure you take a day off or do an easy session. Here's another example of what week 2 could look like, or any other week. 25 reps in total for day 1, 15 on the next day, 10 on day 3, take a day off. Then the next day, you ramp up to 40 reps in total, and the following day, you cut everything in half. Again, Grease the Groove is something that is more intuitive than programmed. But if you want to, you could plan your weeks ahead. Practice Grease to Groove for at least 6 to 12 weeks. You may test yourself once every several weeks, maybe every third or fourth week. Test your rep max and see where you stand in terms of your progress. So if you started with a 10 rep max and you test 3-4 weeks later, you're likely to see an increase in results. After you retested, use that test number and divide that by 2. And that's going to be your new reps that you're going to be going up to. So for example, if you started at 10 rep max and you were doing sets of 5, and then you retest a few weeks later and you get 14, well, you can work yourself up to sets of 7. Keep greasing the groove until you achieve the results you want. You can make the exercise a little harder by varying the leverage on your lifts. You can do even weighted pull-ups or increase the weight in your military press. Play it by ear and have fun. This is not a structured program, so enjoy the process. This technique works really well if you're trying to get stronger at 1 or 2 exercises. So make sure those are the only 2 exercises that relate to the same muscle group in your program. Meaning if you're doing the 1-arm push-up in GTG, don't do other pressing exercises. Focus on the single one. Or if you do, keep the other exercises at a really low volume. So is less more or more better? Meaning if you do more exercises, will you still get great results at Grease to Groove? Perhaps not. You'll have to experiment. I'd say the less you do, the more you could focus on that one thing and get better at that one thing or 2 things. Instead of doing, let's say, 5 to 10 exercises, if you just do 3 or 4 exercises and Grease to Groove with a couple, you might be able to track your results better and see a difference. Otherwise, if you do too many exercises, it'll be harder to track. This method is really convenient for people that have time during the day and can do this. But you can also GTG within an hour. Just take long breaks. Doesn't have to be all day long. If you're trying to increase your numbers in terms of reps or strength and weight, this method will work. If you've never done this before, it goes against your traditional way of training, but give it a shot. I guarantee you'll get results. If you like my explanation of Grease to Groove, make sure you like, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to sending you more videos.